This is the holy grail for the average chess player. A couple of months ago, I reached 1865. I was so close, but then I fall off. And today, I have to try again. So first game, and my opponent played e4. As a Gotham fan myself, I responded with c6. He decided to go for the hillbilly, which is typically not good for white. So, after a few moves, we reached this common Caro-Kann position. Everything looked normal until he placed his bishop on a weird square. I knew I was better here. I played h6 to give room to my bishop, in case he plays knight h4 in the future. We continued developing, and then he placed his knight on b5 to take my bishop. I shouldn't have let that happen, because if you see here, whatever advantage I had, now it is gone. I've skipped a few moves. Nothing too crazy happened. We exchanged some pieces. And now I try to be sneaky with bishop h3. Opponent obviously doesn't fall for it, and then I am kinda forced to trade queens. On move 31, we reached this position where he decided to trade his bishop for my knight. Everything was 100% equal, but then he messed up. His rook is trapped if I play bishop f5. But I didn't. I missed it. Here, I can do it again. Look, so easy to find. A simple bishop move and his rook has no room. But as you see, I missed it again. Please don't tell me that I missed it for a third time. Oh God, I did. And again? No, not this time. Now, I am winning. I have to. I am up a whole piece. Show I tried to get my rooks to active squares, and then he blundered his bishop. This was practically game over. We played a little longer. I took his pawn. And then he resigned a few moves after. On to the next. Thank God the creepy music is off. Finally, the electronic is back. So we have Ruy Lopez, and early on, I could have been a pawn up, because I have this simple trick on d4. But I didn't play it. Instead, I played d3, and after a couple of moves, I am up a pawn. I think he messed up this opening because this was just a free pawn. We made some bishop moves. I traded my own to clear the board a little bit, and after a few moves, he gave up another pawn for free. And here I was almost +4 because of e5. And now, I am up 2 pawns. I have an awesome pawn chain. Nothing, and I repeat, nothing can go wrong. And nothing did went wrong. Now, I am up 3 pawns, and look, 4 pawns now. A couple of moves went by, and I decided to trade queens to make things a little more simple. Finally, we have this endgame, where I have 2 passed pawns, and, by the way, he traded his bishop, which works for me, I guess. Now, I might give up 2 pawns, but my position is too strong. I can't lose, really. There is no way. Not even a draw. Not even a draw. What the hell I was thinking? He can now take my pawn, and if I take back, we are equal. This position is equal. I was +4, and now we are gonna draw, but he didn't found it. Yes! I had a plan to eliminate his rook's movement, but it wasn't very good because he has g6. Anyway, it didn't really matter. I activated my other rook, and we reached this position where I am about to mate him. He didn't surrender just yet, but there was nothing he could do. My other rook came and I delivered the checkmate on the h file. So, 2 for 2, not bad. Why are we in space? Anyway, he started with the Rady, and I knew this was going to be tough. We played some regular moves, but if you've paid attention to the evaluation bar, my idea of b6 and bishop b7 is not computer approved. He played a weird move though, and that gave me the opportunity for a nice tactic to win one of his pawns. Show nice to be up a pawn in the opening. We made some moves, and here he blundered big time. I can take his rook and then his knight. If you haven't realized, I missed it. Instead, I first took the knight. We traded rooks, he got his piece back, and here I played c5 and h5 later on. The computer suggests to play rook d1 and trade rooks, but I thought I couldn't win this endgame. Here we traded bishops, which works better for me. He made a small inaccuracy because I have c5, which eliminates his pawn's movement. Now I have rook d5, which is very strong for this position, but I got too passive. I thought after a 5, my 2 pawns would be very weak, but rook d5 prevents any of that from happening in the first place. What happened was, he pushed his pawn. I pushed my pawn, which was a mistake. He didn't find the best move, which was a 6. I blocked him. He got his rook to d6. And here I completely forgot why I had moved my rook to a 8 in the first place. He took my pawn. See, I wanted to trade rooks, but I left an unguarded pawn. And then he didn't waste any time. He brought every piece together. I knew I was lost. There was nothing I could do. We traded bishops. So we have this endgame where he is up a pawn, and I have no attacking plan. He took another pawn, and I was lost. I wasn't playing anymore. I had lost any hope. I tried to push in the other side, but there was nothing there. I knew it. And then he made a fatal mistake. We are equal, but what's the move order? Well, first, I take his rook, and then I don't take back. But instead, play king to c6. But why? Why is this a draw? Well, look, king to a7 is his only move, and I mirror him. If, for example, he moves his pawn, he is lost, because I move my pawns, and his king can't get there, and his pawns can't stop me from promoting. So he is forced to repeat moves and make a draw. But I never took his rook because I didn't see king to c6, so the game was pretty much over, and my only hope was to create a passed pawn. I did it, but he was clearly far better. Traded rooks, and even though I'm about to make a queen, I realized there was no point, because he will also make one. And not only that, but also he has 2 more pawns, even though I managed to grab 2 of his pawns and thought maybe he will make a mistake. His pawns are too advanced. If you also see the evaluation bar, at no point he lost his huge advantage. A couple of moves went by and I resigned. Game 4, and I have to win. I can't end the video with 2 out of 4. We are playing against an Indian fellow. Already at the beginning of the Caro-Kann, and we are up a pawn. The position is very good. Notice how in all of the games, the opponent's opening is not so good. In this level, if you learn a few openings, you'll gain rating pretty quick. Here we strike with d4 and take another pawn. So we reach this middle game, where I am up +3 in material. Everything is looking solid. He tried to be sneaky with some of his moves. But he blundered his knight, and therefore decided to quit. So outcome of the day, I went from 1,762 to 1,777. 3 wins and a loss. Not bad. See you at the next one.